David Gaub McCullough is an American author, narrator, historian, and lecturer. He is a two-time winner of the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award and a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the United States' highest civilian award. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, McCullough earned a degree in English literature from Yale University. His first book was The Johnstown Flood, and he has since written 9 more on such topics as Harry S. Truman, John Adams, the Brooklyn Bridge, and the Wright brothers. McCullough has also narrated numerous documentaries, such as The Civil War by Ken Burns, as well as the 2003 film Seabiscuit, and he hosted American Experience for 12 years. McCullough's 2 Pulitzer Prize-winning books, Truman and John Adams, have been adapted by HBO into a TV film and a miniseries, respectively. Life and career, youth and education. McCullough was born in the Point Breeze neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the son of Ruth and Christian Hacks McCullough. He is of Scots-Irish descent. He was educated at Linden Avenue Grade School and Shady Side Academy in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One of 4 sons, McCullough had a marvelous childhood with a wide range of interests, including sports and drawing cartoons. McCullough's parents and his grandmother, who read to him often, introduced him to books at an early age. His parents often talked about history, a topic he says should be discussed more often. McCullough loved school every day. He contemplated many career choices, ranging from architect, actor, painter, writer, to lawyer, and contemplated attending medical school for a time. In 1951, McCullough began attending Yale University. He said that it was a privilege to study English at Yale because of faculty members such as John O'Hara, John Hersey, Robert Penwarren, and Brendan Gill. McCullough occasionally ate lunch with the Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist and playwright Thornton Wilder. Wilder says McCullough taught him that a competent writer maintains an air of freedom in the storyline, so that a reader will not anticipate the outcome, even if the book is non-fiction. While at Yale, he became a member of Skull and Bones. He served apprenticeships at Time Life, the United States Information Agency, and American Heritage, where he enjoyed research. Once I discovered the endless fascination of doing the research and of doing the writing, I knew I had found what I wanted to do in my life. While attending Yale, McCullough studied arts and earned his bachelor's degree in English, with the intention of becoming a fiction writer or playwright. He graduated with honors in English literature. Writing career. Early career. After graduation, McCullough moved to New York City, where Sports Illustrated hired him as a trainee. He later worked as an editor and writer for the United States Information Agency in Washington, D.C. After working for 12 years, including a position at American Heritage, in editing and writing, McCullough felt that had reached the point where could attempt something on own. McCullough had no anticipation that was going to write history, but stumbled upon a story that thought was powerful, exciting, and very worth telling. While working at American Heritage, McCullough wrote in his spare time for 3 years, The Johnstown Flood, a chronicle of one of the worst flood disasters in United States history, was published in 1968 to high praise by critics. John Leonard, of the New York Times, said of McCullough, "We have no better social historian." Despite rough financial times, he decided to become a full-time writer, encouraged by his wife Rosalie. Gaining recognition. After the success of the Johnstown Flood, 2 new publishers offered him contracts, one to write about the Great Chicago Fire and another about the San Francisco earthquake. Simon & Schuster, publisher of his first book, also offered McCullough a contract to write a second book. Trying not to become bad news McCullough, he decided to write about a subject showing people were not always foolish, inept, or irresponsible. Quote, He remembered the words of his Yale teacher. Wilder said he got the idea for a book or a play when he wanted to learn about something. Then, it checked to see if anybody had already done it, and if they hadn't, it'd do it. McCullough decided to write a history of the Brooklyn Bridge, which he had walked across many times. To me, history ought to be a source of pleasure. It isn't just part of our civic responsibility. To me, it's an enlargement of the experience of being alive, just the way literature or art or music is. David McCullough also proposed, from a suggestion by his editor, a work about the Panama Canal. Both were accepted by the publisher. Critics hailed The Great Bridge as the definitive book on the event. 5 years later, The Path Between the Seas, The Creation of the Panama Canal, was released, gaining McCullough widespread recognition. The book won the National Book Award in History, the Samuel Eliot Morrison Award, the Francis Parkman Prize, and the Cornelius Ryan Award. Later in 1977, McCullough traveled to the White House to advise Jimmy Carter and the United States Senate on the Torrijos-Carter treaties, which would give Panama control of the canal. Carter later said that the treaties, which were agreed upon to hand over ownership of the canal to Panama, would not have passed, had it not been for the book, The Story of People. McCullough's fourth work was his first biography, reinforcing his belief that history is the story of people. Released in 1981, Mornings on Horseback tells the story of 17 years in the life of Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States. The work ranged from 1869, when Roosevelt was 10 years old, to 1886, and tells of a life intensely lived. The book won McCullough's second National Book Award and his first Los Angeles Times Prize for Biography and New York Public Library Literary Lion Award. Next, he published Brave Companions, a collection of essays that unfold seamlessly. Written over 20 years, the book includes essays about Louis Agassiz, Alexander von Humboldt, John and Washington Roebling, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Conrad Richter, and Frederick Remington. With his next book, McCullough published his second biography, Truman, about the 33rd president. The book won McCullough his first Pulitzer Prize, in the category of Best Biography or Autobiography, and his second Francis Parkman Prize. 2 years later, the book was adapted as Truman, a television film by HBO, starring Gary Sinise as Truman. I think it's important to remember that these men are not perfect. If they were marble gods, what they did wouldn't be so admirable. The more we see the founders as humans, the more we can understand them. David McCullough. Working for the next 7 years, McCullough published John Adams, his third biography about a United States president. One of the fastest-selling non-fiction books in history, the book won McCullough's second Pulitzer Prize for Best Biography or Autobiography. Quote, "He started it as a book about the Founding Fathers and back-to-back presidents John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, but dropped Jefferson to focus on Adams." HBO adapted John Adams as a 7-part miniseries by the same name, premiering in 2008. It starred Paul Giamatti in the title role. The DVD version of the miniseries includes the biopic, David McCullough, Painting with Words. McCullough's 1776 tells the story of the founding year of the United States, focusing on George Washington, the amateur army, and other struggles for independence. Because of McCullough's popularity, its initial printing was 1.25 million copies, many more than the average history book. Upon its release, the book was a #1 bestseller in the United States. A mini-series adaptation of 1776 was rumored. McCullough considered writing a sequel to 1776. However, he signed a contract with Simon and Schuster to do work about Americans in Paris between 1830 and 1900, The Greater Journey, which was published in 2011. The book covers 19th-century Americans, including Mark Twain and Samuel Morse, who migrated to Paris and went on to achieve importance in culture or innovation. Other subjects include Benjamin Silliman, who had been Morse's science teacher at Yale, Elihu Washburn, the American ambassador to France during the Franco-Prussian War, and Elizabeth Blackwell, the first female doctor in the United States. Personal life: David McCullough lives in Boston and is married to Rosalie Barnes McCullough, whom he met at age 17 in Pittsburgh. The couple has 5 children and 18 grandchildren. He enjoys sports, history and art, including watercolor and portrait painting. His son David Jr., an English teacher at Wellesley High School in the Boston suburbs, achieved sudden fame in 2012 with his commencement speech. He told graduating students, "You're not special," 9 times, and his speech went viral on YouTube. Awards and accolades: McCullough has received numerous awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom in December 2006, the highest civilian award that a United States citizen can receive. In 1995, the National Book Foundation conferred its Lifetime Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters. McCullough has been awarded more than 40 honorary degrees, including one from the Eastern Nazarene College in John Adams, the hometown of Quincy, Massachusetts. McCullough has received 2 Pulitzer Prizes, 2 National Book Awards, 2 Francis Parkman Prizes, the Los Angeles Times Book Award, New York Public Library's Literary Lion Award, and the St. Louis Literary Award from the St. Louis University Library Associates, among others. McCullough was chosen to deliver the first annual John Hersey Lecture at Yale University on March 22, 1993. He is a member of the John Simon Guggenheim Fellowship and the Academy of Achievement. In 2003, the National Endowment for the Humanities selected McCullough for the Jefferson Lecture, the U.S. federal government's highest honor for achievement in the humanities. McCullough's lecture was entitled The Course of Human Events. In 1995, McCullough received the Peggy V. Helmerich Distinguished Author Award. The Helmerich Award is presented annually by the Tulsa Library Trust. McCullough has been called a master of the art of narrative history. The New York Times critic John Leonard wrote that McCullough was incapable of writing a page of bad prose. His works have been published in 10 languages, over 9 million copies have been printed, and all of his books are still in print. In December 2012, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania announced that it would rename the 16th Street Bridge in Pittsburgh in honor of McCullough. In a ceremony at Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama, on November 16, 2015, the Air University of the United States Air Force awarded McCullough an honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters degree. He was also made an honorary member of Phi Beta Kappa at Yale University in 2015. In May 2016, McCullough received the United States Capitol Historical Society's Freedom Award. It was presented in the National Statuary Hall May 11. Works, books, narrations. McCullough has narrated many television shows and documentaries throughout his career. In addition to narrating the 2003 film Seabiscuit, McCullough hosted PBS's American Experience from 1988 to 1999. McCullough has also narrated numerous documentaries directed by Ken Burns, including Emmy Award-winning The Civil War, Academy Award-nominated Brooklyn Bridge, The Statue of Liberty, and The Congress. He served as a guest narrator for The Most Wonderful Time of the Year, a Mormon Tabernacle Choir Christmas concert special that aired on PBS in 2010. List of films presented and narrated: Brooklyn Bridge, Smithsonian World, The Shakers, Hands to Work, Hearts to God, The Statue of Liberty, Huey Long, A Man, A Plan, A Canal, Panama, The Congress. The Civil War, American Experience, Coney Island, The Donner Party, D-Day Remembered, Napoleon PBS Empire Special, Seabiscuit, The Most Wonderful Time of the Year.